back, Talkies, come back!
On that note, it's your homeboy muzu coming at you with this week's tournament report. I am sorry I've not been coming at you guys with all the best stuff recently, been dealing with some stuff in my personal life, but you know what, I'll get more into that later. As some of you may or may not know, different hat, I'm still trying to find my old hat, got new gloves, and yeah, it has been a pretty interesting period of time, but I'm back. Everything's back. The team is back on track. We had some intense stuff at DMV. Gonna have a profile up on that later. I realized I should have had it up about a week ago. Anyway, this past week on Monday night we had a pretty good turnout at Chibi Cards and Games. Pretty awesome place. Check that out when you get a chance. And the tournament was pretty intense. I mean, a lot of us were dealing with some stuff and coming down from some stuff, so it was kind of subdued, a little bit depressed, and, you know, having Family Guy playing in the background, just like, that's not a show you watch as you're doing other things. That's something you got to kind of keep track of. I'm not a big Family Guy fan, but, you know, I understand some people like it. Anyway, going right into the tournament report. I was running Seekers 1.5. There's been some changes made with the sneak peek. I got a little bit of stuff from the sneak peek, not a lot. Cannot wait for Friday, the set release. Support the official release. Get the stuff. Support your local card shops. Cannot wait for all the 16E stuff. But I got a couple things, tinkering around with some stuff. Did all right. And Kintama, most guys know him by his poofy hat. He was back. He's been gone for a little while, dealing with some stuff, and thankfully Mizu put a lot of time and effort into getting some pieces to make sure that deck was prepped for his return, and you know what? It really did well. So, round one, I faced Genesis Witches. I lost. I got rushed and then grade stuck. It was frustrating, but you know, I was still feeling out a lot of the changes of the deck. I changed my starter, changed a lot of my lineup, and, I mean, I'm still doing 8 crit, 4 draw, but now everything's Seeker, and just a lot of the stuff still had to get a feel out for, and that was my first round playing with the changes to the deck. And grade stuck happens. That's kind of how the game works. Now, Kintama, he was up against Glendios. You know, Cardfight King's back in town, and he had to make his presence felt with his Glendios. But Kin came out strong. In round one, he applied a lot of pressure and just did his best, but games, like, he just couldn't handle all the power of the lock, and getting grade stuck really did not help. Now, round two, I was up against Shadow Witches. That was frustrating, but I got the win. I got the win. I finally figured out some of the key ways, for my deck at least, to keep up with Shadow Witches. And what that really boils down to for my playstyle is I rush my opponent early, and when they Fianna, I always make sure that I pull out my heal triggers. That sounds really weird, like you want heal triggers in the deck. But when I'm at 1 and my opponent's at 4, I want the crit trigger in the deck, not the heal trigger. And being able to Legion the heal triggers back in later when I do need them was crucial. But yeah, since Fianna lets the target, like the receiving player, choose which of their own triggers gets called out of the top 10, a lot of times I was able to say, okay, there's a heal and there's a draw and 2 crits. I'm going to grab the heal and the draw and leave the 2 crits in the deck. And that really helped me apply a lot of pressure and was really crucial, because draws are great, but when I drive check a draw, that's only a 5k shield. But yeah, I finally got the win, and it really came down to, in game 3, Brutus hitting good numbers and making my field hit good numbers and just drive checking the crits. Kin was up against Abyss, and they played the resource game, and it just, when it all came down to it, he got triggers at a key time. He hit the Sackmaster swag. I mean, it just, when you're pulling everything else out of your deck and you're putting triggers back in through Legion, it's gonna happen sometime. Guard 2 pass, get 2 triggers. GG no re. Now round 3, I was up against the OTT Legacy Legion. Yeah, the one that Legions was CEO. That was brutal. We both were legioning. And for me, this was the first game where I felt like I had a real grip on how my deck was running. And that showed. I was able to maintain pressure and just deal with his hand. Because that hand would not stop being large. And it wasn't just drawing, but the fact that he could always make sure that there was a critical on top of the deck, or a critical in the drive check. So I always had to assume that there was going to be a crit coming. And that Vanguard hits big numbers. But when it came down to it, I was legioning more. I was performing Legion more often than he was, so I was able to reload my triggers back into my deck. And that is really what it came down to. You know, yes, you might call it sacky, but I had to fight to get in that position. Kin was up against Genesis Witches. The same Genesis Witch player I played in round 1. That was just a lot of the resource game. Genesis Witches are very powerful. They can generate resources, but a lot of their stuff is about hitting numbers and being able to play fields from what they soul blast. And that wasn't enough to deal with the Gold Paladin generating hand advantage through the power of Percival and Prominence Core. No Glare, but Prominence Core was in the deck. And the one that Legions with the 12k was in there. The one that Counterblast 2 and it gets +5 and a crit if it's in Legion and blah, blah, blah. Apparently that card MVP'd a lot. The extra crit was very crucial at key times. But yeah. And also his opponent getting stuck at grade 2, you know, really helped a lot. Being able to hit great numbers against grade 2. Couldn't Legion, but could hit great numbers. Now, because of time constraints and, you know, how clear it was who was going to be in top, we did top 4 right after round 3. Unfortunately, I came in 5th. That being said, Kin made top 4, and he performed beautifully, actually. His first round in top was against Glendios. And Glendios, it was a salty run back from his round 1, his only loss of the night. And he was able to apply a lot of pressure, but games 2 and 3, his opponent didn't see Glendios. I'm not laughing at the player. I'm laughing at the situation. Because I'm a good person, and I don't laugh at other people's misfortune. I just laugh at the misfortune, not that it's theirs. Because that makes a difference. Anyway, yeah, not hitting Glendios in a Glendios deck is kind of brutal. And he managed to get the win. Round 2 of top, fighting for first place, was gold on gold action. Look at that blazing, brilliant action of this gold on gold match of a deck based around Percival and against a deck based around Glare, the completed Glare deck. It was pretty intense because at the key moment when it really didn't want it to, Glare's skill went off. Yeah, that hurts. Both players really put in a lot of effort there, and you did everything they could to win. Now, final thoughts on this. I can't wait for the official release, personally. My deck is really like version 1.5. That's exciting but kind of frustrating to get just a little taste of all the new stuff, but not enough for me. Now, some stuff has been happening in my personal life, you know, hat missing, all that jazz. So I know that did affect a lot of my concentration, but considering how things panned out, going 2-1, I think I did pretty well. In all honesty, considering how distracted I was and everything, yeah. Now for Kin, he left the team for a while to do some soul searching. I mean, don't laugh at him. That's actually legitimate. Like, had to deal with some stuff. But on his return, having his deck prepped for him was a big help. And, you know, Muzu put a lot of time, and all the tech cards put in work. We're hopefully going to have a deck profile up of that soon. But, yeah, the deck put in work, earned him second place. And we're all excited to have Kin back. And we're hoping to see even more great things from him. That being said, I'm going to start getting more videos up. I keep saying that. But you know what? I'm back in action. And that being said, it is your homeboy Muzu. Peacing out, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the horizon.